Hello, everybody. Welcome to Dumpster Fire Theater. I am your host, Secret Agent P, and I am joined by Rylot,
Hello, everybody.
and I'm also joined today by DJ.
Hello.
Hello again, everybody. This episode was supposed to come out last week, but life happens. Anyway, today we are going to be talking about Avatar: The Way of Water, a movie that we waited 13 years for, whether we really wanted it or not.
Yeah.
So before we get into the topic today, I would like to take a moment to talk to you about our sponsor, you. This show is brought to you by clicking the like button, leaving a comment, and subscribing to see more, and help feeding the algorithm God.
The gods are always hungry. Feed them.
Ring the bell, and they will come. Okay, so Avatar is James Cameron's baby, and in 2009, it took the world by storm and became the highest grossing movie ever. So what was your... let's give a quick opinion of what we thought of the first movie. Which one do you want to go first?
DJ, you can go first if you want.
Yeah, sure. Well, I liked it, honestly. It has some moments that, like, if you think about it too hard, it don't make sense. But, it was a fun ride. So.
And a fun ride it was.
Mm.
Go on.
Go ahead.
Okay. I remember seeing the trailer for Avatar in the summer of 2009 and thinking, that looks like a good movie. And the trailer had me really hyped. It had some music by Guardians at the Gate, and it just got me really hyped for it. And then when it came out, it just blew up the world, and I'm like, that little movie that I saw in that random trailer is blowing up. What's going on? And unfortunately, I didn't get to see it in theaters because I was poor and broke. So when I eventually did see it, I saw it on my little 24-inch TV, and I was amazed and blown away. And 13 years later, to finally be able to see it in 3D earlier this year with you two, was amazing. Seeing it in its full glory for once. And as DJ said the story is simple, but it's still pretty cool. What'd you think, Taylor? Rylot?
I mean, same difference, right? Now, so interestingly enough, I was talking to my parents about it, and turns out that I did originally see it in 3D when it came out, and I have no recollection of seeing it in 3D, but no, I enjoyed the movie, but at the same time, I also didn't really understand why everyone was like losing their minds about why. Like it's a good movie, but I was really shocked to see the hype surrounding it. I guess because like the special effects at the time were the best in this industry.
The movie literally created the special effects used in it, and the industry took off from there, stealing them basically.
I had like the original Star Wars trilogy back in the day, funnily enough.
Yeah, kind of.
Huh.
Go DJ.
Yeah, I remember when I first saw the first Avatar, we actually had a bootleg of it, and the subtitles were in Russian or something. So every time they spoke Navi, I didn't know what they were saying, which is not the way to experience the movie.
It's the best way. What are you talking about? But yeah, the movie broke new grounds in technology. I watched a bunch of behind the scenes of making it, and on the Norm, that the computers and hard drives used to process the scenes would fry, and they would lose like a week's worth of recordings, and they would have to refilm and go back, and James Cameron just pushed on and pushed on.
That is actually insane.
It really is. And for this new one, and we'll go into it more later, he actually developed underwater mocap.
That is not surprising to me in the least bit. James Cameron is one of those directors that will do anything to accomplish his vision.
Yeah. Have you heard about Terminator 2 and filming the scene where the diesel truck's chasing the motorcycle?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I did.
Yeah. So, DJ, do you remember that scene in Terminator 2?
No, not maybe.
Okay. Well, the bad Terminator is chasing Arnold and John Connor, who's on a motorcycle, and in it, the bad Terminator drives an 18-wheeler truck off of the street and into this like culvert thing, but not a single cameraman was willing to be down there for the shot, so James Cameron did it himself. And there's other shots like that which everyone else refused to do, and he just put himself in harm's way.
Between that and honestly, like, the funniest thing to me about the whole movie was I forget the actor who played the T-1000, but he got so efficient at running that he would outrun the motorcycle that John Connor rides around. So he actually had to slow himself down so the scenes could actually happen.
It's fantastic. Okay.
But we're getting way off topic.
Yeah. Okay, so real fast. I wanted a sequel. I really did. And I didn't want it to take 13 years. Did you two want a sequel?
Yeah, I would say for sure, because I was very interested to see how the other tribes worked.
DJ?
I mean, I kind of just wanted a sequel to kind of explore more of Pandora, because that was obviously a really cool world.
It really is. Now, did you want 4 sequels? Because that's what we're getting, assuming the movies continue to make money anyway.
Yeah. I'm fine with that.
As long as they're quality, then I'm completely fine with it.
So, as far as quality goes, we'll talk about that later, because I do have some info for that. So, let's get into Act 1, the general premise of the movie. And for everyone watching, this will be without spoilers.
Yeah.
And we will get into spoilers later and give a full-on spoiler warning. So, the general premise of this movie is several years after the first movie, approximately like 12 from what I was able to figure out.
13, yeah.
The humans come back in full force, and they just burn the forest, set up a manufacturing city right away. They're full on. We're gonna mine. We're gonna just make a base here. We're gonna kill. We don't care anymore. And the Na'vi, aren't gonna take it. They didn't take it the last time. They're not gonna take it this time. But Jake and Neytiri aren't the same battle-hardened people anymore, because they started a family. They have two sons and two daughters, and one of the daughters is Kiri. She's adopted. She was born from Grace's avatar, and we don't quite know how that happened. The movie purposely never tells us.
I don't know how much of this is non-spoiler.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of this is in the first 5 minutes of the movie.
It's in the first 5 minutes, and it's in all of
15, half an hour.
And this was in the press announcements, basically.
Okay, well.
Okay, so the movie goes on with Jake and family moving out and experiencing the water tribes to get away from the humans, and we get to experience the water side of Pandora. Have you ever wanted to be a mermaid? Because that's kind of what it is.
Yeah.
Under the sea.
Yeah. It was bad to me.
I mean, I think the premise of having a variation of the Na'vi being able to essentially, like, I wouldn't say live underwater, but have an entire civilization around water, I think is a very fascinating idea.
I like how they actually had different evolutionary traits. Go on.
Yeah, because they didn't live underwater like mermaids or anything, but yeah, they had adaptations that were good for swimming. You know, they had a thicker tail that helped them swim, and like finned arms. But they still had to hold their breath, so they were very much mammals and stuff like that.
So, the general premise of the movie is Jake and Atiri and the family, they don't want to fight anymore. They just want to live. So they go and experience this whole other side of the world that they're unfamiliar with. And we kind of get a retread of the first movie of learning Pandora and its beauty again. Until something happens that forces a conflict, just like the first movie. Unfortunately, it's kind of retreads that story, but I don't know. I still like the movie. Did you guys like it?
Yeah, like I said, I liked it.
I think the question is like, not necessarily if it's a bad thing that they retreaded stuff, but did it add to the overall experience? Like, did they improve upon it?
I think they did, and it's been pointed out that the script was better this time. The actual lines were better. It felt more fluid, more. There's a word I'm missing here.
Natural.
More natural. That's it. And this is because instead of just having James Cameron write the script, it was a team of actual writers with James Cameron, and they've written pretty good stuff, and they've had years and years to develop the script.
Mm.
So having more natural dialogue helped improve the experience, especially over 3 hours, in which having some kind of bad dialogue after 3 hours can get to you.
Yeah.
I don't really feel like the first movie had that bad of dialogue. Like, yeah, there were some corny lines tossed in here and there, but I don't think it was as bad as people made it out to be.
I also don't think so, but I've heard the complaint enough that I'm bringing it up. So would you recommend this movie to just anyone, or only fans of the first one?
DJ, you take the lead on this one. I have to debate.
I mean, I do kind of feel like you should see the first one before watching this one, because it's a little confusing. Although I suppose they do kind of exposit a lot of what happened, especially in the first half hour.
So I'm gonna take the stance of I would recommend this to anyone, not just fans of the first one. The caveat being, if you didn't like the first one, you're not gonna like this one. But if you were kind of meh on the first one, I think you'll like this one more. And I think I can say that because when I watched it the first time, it was very surreal because I've never waited for something this long to finally see it, and I was in awe at it. But in the lead up to seeing it again, I was like, yeah, you know, I do want to see these scenes again. I do want to see this movie again. And watching it a second time, I was able to appreciate it even more and notice more the nuances. And it really is just a good package. Okay, Rylot?
I do think that it's a good movie. And I don't think you necessarily have to watch the first movie to understand what's going on at all. Because, like DJ said, there is a bit of exposition that's front loaded, so you can kind of enjoy the rest of the movie and be completely fine with it. The difference being, they don't give you a ton of information like they did in the first movie. They give you just enough to make you aware of things, and then they just go with the plot.
It really hits the ground running, and I think that's for the best, honestly.
Yeah. And it's one of those character first, plot second movies that I think actually handles it very well.
It's been brought up that because the movie's like that, it kind of stands out, and it can stand the test of time more because it's focusing on the characters more than a complicated storyline.
Yeah.
So, would you recommend this to anyone or just fans? And do you agree that if you didn't like the first Avatar, then you're not gonna like this one?
Oh yeah,
Well,
for sure.
I'm going to be of the opposite of, I think anyone can sit down and watch it, but I think there's a bit more simplicity to this movie that if you didn't enjoy the first movie, you might actually find enjoyment in this one.
Okay, good. Okay,
My
I can definitely see it.
Because it streamlines a lot compared to the first movie. So you're not having to sit there and constantly think about like everything that was mentioned in like the first hour.
Okay, do we want to add anything onto it before we move on to Act 2 and go into spoilers?
I was just gonna say that you know, as far as you know, if you didn't like the first one, you know, not liking the second one goes, it's very much the same situation and story as the first time, except, you know, instead of trees, it's water. Instead of horses, it's whales. Instead of dragons, it's some kind of giant flying fish. It's very much the same movie.
And I think one of the reasons they did that is, while this is Avatar 2, it could also kind of be Avatar 1.5. So you could start with this one and watch the sequels without requiring the first one.
Yeah.
Yeah. This has tighter written characters, and I honestly feel like they decided to turn this movie into not necessarily like a hard reboot, but a little bit more of a soft reboot to kind of get pretty familiar with characters and get them back into certain stages that they want them to be in.
I agree. Okay. So, we all recommend the movie. It's pretty good. So, now we're going to get into spoiler talk. So, I didn't quite know where to put this in, but let's talk about the technological achievements with this movie. The water...
Yeah. Yeah. Spoilers, the movie looks amazing.
I know, right? No. It really is one of the reasons to go see this movie, especially in theaters. I honestly want to go see it a third time, but I want to go to IMAX this time and see it in IMAX 3D.
Yeah,
Fair.
it's really impressive that like it's CG, but it feels like it's so good that it looks like it's filmed. It looks like they actually found some blue people to record.
Yeah.
It's so fucking good. I've never seen water like this.
Yeah, honestly, the water looks better than reality, but
I was about to say, like, the water physics is the absolutely, like, the best in the industry right now.
It blew my mind. I saw a video comparing the water to the first one to this one, and it made the movie look like shit.
Yeah. That's what 13 years of tech does.
yeah, if you're the kind of person that gets a game and immediately finds a stream or a pond to jump around in and watch the waves, this movie will blow your mind.
God, and Weta, you got Weta's the visual effects company that did most of the work on the movie. They've done some amazing stuff before, but they outdid themselves with this one. Oh my god.
I am curious if they're going to be able to take that technology and implement it into gaming.
I am 99% sure they will, because they own the like code for it and tools, and they just have to license them out, because that's kind of how the industry works.
Mm-hmm.
So the 3D effect. So I have some mixed opinions about it, because when I watched Avatar 1 in 3D, a few months ago, I was like, this is amazing. As long as we weren't looking at pictures in the movie, it was amazing and didn't take me out of it. But when watching this movie in 3D, it was so seamless at times. I didn't even realize I was watching it in 3D. It was so good. It looked natural and not gimmicky ever. To the point where I would take off my glasses to reset my brain just to go, oh my god, all over again.
Yeah, I think about 3 times it happened where there was some kind of effect going across the screen, like a heat wave or a smoke particle effect or whatever, that was so close to the camera that the 3D effect actually kind of jarred me, because I thought it looked like it was right in front of my face.
I think I know what you're talking
about. Did you have that happen?
Once or twice.
Yeah.
I actually didn't, for me. Honestly, like, my experience with the 3D effect throughout the movie was that, while, like, impressive, I didn't feel that I had to watch the movie in 3D, unlike the first one, because, like, for me, with the first movie, the 3D definitely enhanced the experience. For the second movie, I felt like I could have watched it either way and had the same experience.
I'm not sure, but I'll definitely find out when I buy it on 4K when it comes out, because I'm definitely buying it on 4K.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my god, this will be like the first movie that my 4K TV will be like actually useful for, because I've never watched anything in like actually good on it in 4K.
Yeah.
So
You know,
finally,
PS5.
that your investment paying off.
what was?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, the PS5 is finally paying off after having it for like 2 or 3 weeks now.
Well, I meant for 4K TV
Uh,
after having it for like a decade.
6 or 7 years.
Yeah, you finally have a 4K movie to play on your 4K TV after 7 years. Money well spent.
Yeah. Anyway. So, let's talk about the models and how they looked perfect, amazing. They looked like real, like DJ said, they looked like real blue people.
Yeah. Like, you can tell what the texture of their skin is and stuff.
even the animals, they look so good. Also, I want to point out that I could tell everyone apart. I had no confusion about who anybody was. All of their little distinct details just added to the characters, and it was so freaking good.
It's like, I don't know their names, but I know their faces.
No.
Yeah.
I actually know most of the names, but go Rylot.
Yeah, no, one thing that I did like too is even when the camera was at a distance of the characters, the fact is they gave everyone distinct movements. So even if you couldn't necessarily tell who was down in whatever scene was taking place, based on their movements, you can tell who it was.
Yeah.
The movie was honestly kind of refreshing, especially after all the, mediocre movies that have been coming out.
Yeah.
Marvel.
Different podcast.
Yeah, anyway. So
Hang on. This is the perfect time. Hey, folks, you're going to click to the top right of your screen for a previous podcast where we talk about Marvel.
shit, I gotta write down the timestamp so I can find this clip. Got it.
Fantastic.
There will be a thing if she remembers.
Yeah.
So now that I actually remembered to press the button to talk, the models, the water droplets on the actual characters when they come out of water, it's so good. I can't actually express how good it looks unless you see it for yourself. And I know I'm like really going on about the special effects in this movie, but Avatar is the special effects movie, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like wet hair looks like wet hair, both above and under the water. It looks like how people with long hair, how it works.
It looks like somebody brought the CG character to life and poured water on them. It's so Jake's hair looked terrible, right? Like,
Yes.
I'm so glad that you said so.
Yes. I want to throw something.
So frizzy.
Yeah, it didn't look good long. I understand why, because the tribal thing, but one thing that I want to point out about like how special effects have been going, it's like each decade has had like a movie that has defined that decade's like technology. Like in the 80s being Star Wars, and the 90s being Terminator, and the 2000s being Avatar, now in the 2010, no, not 2010, we're in the 2020s now, being Avatar 2.
I just want to be clear that by Jake's hair looking bad, we're not saying that the CG looks bad. We're saying that it looks like a really realistic bad hair.
Yes, it looks like actual hair, but it's just bad.
Yeah.
Which is a feat upon itself because they made it that way.
Right.
Yeah.
So, did you want to add something, Rylot?
Oh, this is completely like beside the point, but there was this whole thing that happened on Twitter where some lady was talking about like culture appropriation of like the dread style.
I saw something about that.
And got completely and absolutely roasted because it's like, yes, totally, like the Vikings didn't have dreads, or every other culture throughout history having dreads in it. It's just something I wanted to throw in there.
They're also based off of like Native American culture too, so dreads.
I'm pretty sure you can look at every culture and find the dread hairstyle.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's all I wanted to throw in there.
Okay. Now, let's talk about Spider real fast, and not specifically the character, but how seamless he was in this world of CG, because he fit in there seamlessly. And
go ahead, keep talking. I'll add mine later.
okay, so there's this joke I heard, and I can't get it out of my head, because Spider seems kind of like a random inclusion, and it almost seems like the only reason he's in the movie is because someone joked to James Cameron that he can't put a basically naked person in the movie and seamlessly and have it look good, and James Cameron's like, bet. And then he did it.
I'm not gonna lie, there was times where I was sitting there watching the scenes play out, and like in my head I'm like, man, why does the human look a bit more fake than the damn blue people?
Like when you're watching it, and like for example, the boat that they're on, what part of that is CG and what part isn't? Because I cannot tell.
Well, the human people are real, and probably everything else was a green screen.
But are they real? Are they?
Yeah, that's kind of hard, huh?
You're right. They just put him in a green T-shirt and they just CG'd the clothes on.
I mean, I don't know anymore.
What's real anymore?
You know, I can't. One of the YouTube channels that I'm subscribed to, Corridor Digital, or it might be just called Corridor now. They go over the VFX of different movies and TV shows and whatnot, kind of like throughout history.
I think we all watched them, by the way.
Yeah, and I can't wait for like a whole episode just dedicated on Avatar 2.
You know, it's funny you bring up Corridor Digital, because their newest episode went over a clip from the Avatar 2 trailer that they went over a couple of months ago, because a new angle of the same shot was in the new trailer, and it's specifically a shot where a Na'vi is wrapping some like leather around his hand in the water, and their hand to hand is going up and down underneath and above the water. And in the movie, it's the scene when Jake's trying to learn to ride the like flying fish thing, and he's wrapping his hand up so he can stay on. But
yeah, you wrap the reins around his wrists.
Yeah.
Not a smart idea in hindsight.
Yeah, but in the trailer, when that first came out, it blew Corridor Digital's minds, because if you actually watch it, you can see all the layers of the water going on the leather, going on his hand, doing different things, and the fabric on the harness, the water was going in between the different layers of the fabric, and there was like air bubbles and everything, and this truly showed off how advanced the water was. But to the normies, they weren't seeing all of it, but to anyone paying attention, it's fucking amazing.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually watched the newest episode yesterday, where they went over the new shot of it, and they still can't tell what's real and what's not anymore. It's so good, and yes, I cannot wait for a full video on Avatar 2.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
So, is there anything about the effects and the technological achievements you two want to add?
I don't know if it was because of technology or just a writing decision, but I kind of felt like that they didn't film a lot of humans. There's basically just like two humans that were ever in like a scene together with Avatar bodies or Na'vi frequently. That was about it. There was Spider and the sea captain, and I guess the marine biologist.
Yeah, the marine biologist, just reminding me of Futurama every time.
Right? He kind of had that vibe. He would have fit in there.
Yes, but
I felt like they never like put them side by side with, or at least they did it as little as possible. They mostly did up close with the humans, or switching, and switching back and forth instead of putting both humans and avatars on screen at the same time. At least that was my feeling. It's not like they never put them on screen at the same time.
I think it's just more an effect of the plot than anything.
Yeah.
It doesn't help that, I guess we're talking about spoilers now. It doesn't help that the bad guys are also blue.
And that's a good segue into Act 3.
Act 3.
Hey, okay. So, like, I have this burning thing in my head, and I know it's kind of jumping over stuff.
Go ahead.
But I have to bring this up because this is the one thing in the movie that took me out of the experience.
Okay.
When Spider got separated from the group,
I know where this is going.
and no one seemed to acknowledge that he was gone or missing. They all had this group hug, and they just didn't care about Spider. No one asked about him, and it felt so off.
I get that, and I kind of agree. They did have two lines kind of to imply why. The problem is one was in like the first 5 minutes of the movie where
when Jake referred to him as a pet.
Not just a pet. He mentioned how Neytiri still sees him as an alien and not one of them.
Yeah.
So there's that, and then after he gets kidnapped, Jake mentions he knows everything. We have to go. And this is where Jake and Neytiri, they're parents now, so their priorities are completely different. They're, like I mentioned earlier, they're not the warriors anymore. They're still kind of warriors, but they're not, we're going to sacrifice ourselves in battle warriors anymore.
Yeah. Well, also, because the plot kind of took a left turn, it wasn't even so much that it was like, oh yeah, no, we're not warriors. It wasn't even that they weren't warriors anymore. It was that their family specifically was being targeted.
Yeah. The reason they went to the water clans was very forced to me, and that will always bother me, but you kind of just have to get over it to get the plot going. I feel like they could have done it more smoother.
Yeah. All right. I guess just to kind of give a full, well, it's not even full spoilers. All right. But yeah, just the spoiler plot. What's going on? The bad guys from the last movie are back. They're in avatars now. Apparently they can just put memories inside avatars. Don't know why they didn't start with that. And he has a grudge specifically against the guy that killed him the first time, though he doesn't have memories of being killed because the memories were taken from before, but I guess it's still personal for some reason. I don't know.
It's because he pulled out the arrow from his human body and he looked at it. And, of course, in the memory clip, he mentioned the name Jake Sully, and he was like, oh, Jake betrays me. But then when they're in front of the last battleground, the first movie, and he sees her arrow, he's like, oh, the bitch is here.
So I want to talk about that for a moment because it's really interesting. Quaritch is actually a more interesting character this time because so he's a human unwillingly in an avatar body, but at the same time this Quaritch was technically never human. It's just his memories are from a human. And he's not technically Quaritch, he's his own person. And you can kind of see that throughout the movie, where he even acknowledges he's not Spider's father, because Quaritch was Spider's father. But he still feels for Spider. And it kind of seems like he's struggling with who he is a bit. and he might have a heel turn in a later movie.
Well, it would be a face turn.
What?
Because he's already a heel.
Whatever. So the general premise of the movie is the bad guys have a grudge against Jake Sully and his family, so Jake and his family goes to hide until Quaritch finally locates him and forces Jake into a battle. It's a very simple plot, but all the elements in the movie work. The family dynamic works. The Navi's relationship with the ocean is beautiful, honestly.
It's like it's a very simple plot that drags in a lot of collateral damage.
Yeah. That's kind of like, I love the fact that we left the forest and went to the water. I am not a fan of how we got to the water.
No, it's very forced. Also,
right? It was very much just jump cut.
And I missed the forest. After seeing both, I gotta say I definitely liked the forest more. But I'll admit there's gonna be people that are the opposite and didn't care for the forest, but they're gonna love the ocean.
Yeah, the water in the oceans, they're freaking beautiful. Like, don't get me wrong, I love the water. It's just I do want to see more of the forest, though.
You know, I feel like we feel that way because we went through Jake's entire journey, like getting to Pandora, going through the forest, learning the forest, and experiencing its beautiful moments. Where even though we get some of those beats in the second movie, we don't get as many of them.
And it's all divided between the different kids.
Yeah.
It's also quite possible that James Cameron just didn't know how to, like generally display the forest. Because when you zoom in and you see all of these glow in the dark flowers, but every time that they zoomed out and were flying around, it was just trees.
That's actually kind of a good point. You got to be in the forest.
Yeah.
But
so I feel like he switched to the water so that he could zoom out and show this big colorful reef and the blue of the water, and
he's also totally not famous for creating tentpole movies involving water. So
I know, right?
Rylot, you were trying to say something?
No, I was agreeing.
Okay.
Just agreeing.
Okay, so let's talk about the kids real fast because we have the firstborn Nateum, then we have the secondborn Loak, then we have the adopted kid of Grace, Kiri, and then we have Tug. I gotta say I actually love the kids, all of them. Kiri was undoubtedly my favorite. I just liked the interactions she had, and the scenes where she was kind of at one with nature. I felt that personally. I don't know why, but I could just relate to it, and she seemed at peace.
That's fair. Yeah. Honestly,
she really had chosen one vibes.
But it wasn't forced.
No, it wasn't.
And I think that's what makes me appreciate it so much more. Take notes, Star Wars.
Shots fired.
But no, they're because they show it off early in the movie, referencing the first movie with Jake, right? With the little white spores kind of flying around.
Yeah.
You see them kind of flying around her, kind of indicating hey, she's special.
Yep.
And show it off a couple times. It's all of her big moments are never forced. It always feels natural.
Yeah.
So, there's not much we can say about Toog, or Took. She's too small for anything plot
She's
to
the youngest.
happen.
That's what we can say about her.
She's just kind of there. But Neteyam and Loak. Neteyam's the stoic firstborn, doing what father says, gonna set an example, gonna take care of the kids. But he's also boring.
Wonderful son, and yeah.
He's boring, and I don't know if he's actually boring or if the script just didn't really care enough to give him much of a personality, because it all went to the second born, Loak, and Loak's just Jake, right? He's just his father, like, exactly.
Kind of, actually, yeah.
Yes and no. Like, he's got that blend of his father and mother in him. Because, like, they're both... Like, the parents are both incredibly stubborn in their own ways. And they do things very differently. And you can kind of see a blend of that within him. And I loved how he kind of really gave off, like, that, oh, he's doomed. Just because of the way his parents are.
Mm-hmm.
Because, like, we see this with Jake, where Jake is very much like that of a traditional parent, but the wife is very different based on their culture. So the way that he gets punished for his fuck-ups is vastly different.
Yeah, that's true.
So he's kind of tugged in between two different lifestyles, meaning that whatever he does, he's kind of fucked.
Right. Yeah, Jake is a very, what was the word, authoritarian parent.
Yeah. Well, at least he learned the language. So we didn't have to read a lot of subtitles.
I love how they did that.
Yeah, though, just while he's doing the narration, it's like, I learned the language so well, it just sounds like English to me. Suddenly, everybody's just speaking English. It's like, oh, okay.
the only time they're not speaking English is when they're speaking to Quaritch and his gang, because they don't speak Na'vi.
Yeah, because they're speaking English, so they have to speak Na'vi to specify that they're speaking Na'vi.
So, before I forget, because I wanted to mention it, anybody find it weird that they gave the avatars the same tattoos they had?
No.
I mean, I thought about that a little bit.
They what they do, give him tattoos on the way there?
Well, see, I think because, I mean, it's not like the people, whatever, that the memories, it's not like they didn't know that they were going to be made avatars. So they probably had an opportunity to kind of like pick and choose some things.
I don't know. Yeah. No, it still seems like an odd choice. Granted, aesthetically, I liked it, and it helped us tell them apart and gave them all more character. But, right. but it's one of those things that's like, why? Why would you waste the time to do that?
I mean, they're already 3D printing an alien to put their brains in, so.
I mean, when you put it that way. So, okay. So I want to talk about the fact that Jake and Neytiri, they were the main ones in the first movie, but they're not the main characters in this movie at all. They're more side characters, unfortunately. And it's the kids. The kids are the main characters in this movie, and Quaritch.
Yeah, particularly the two boys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's unfortunate because I think a lot of people, myself included, really wanted to see more of Jake and Neytiri. And the beginning of the movie, when they're just doing family stuff, and he's like, we're gonna have date night and just have fun, and I'm like, I wanted to see more of that in a sequel, But the moment the humans show up and burn the forest, I felt bad for wanting a sequel. I felt really bad for it.
Yeah, those thrusters were overkill.
I think they did it on purpose.
Yeah, no, it was absolutely on purpose so they can lay the foundations of their new facility.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, they would have to have been, right? Because there's no way that they burned that much fuel to land. And they're better off. Granted, they're very big ships that they were landing, so a simple parachute wouldn't have done the job. But I don't know. Scale is kind of all over the place in this movie because, like, the avatars are what, like 10 feet tall.
Yes,
So
yes, they are 10 feet tall.
the trees of the jungle are hundreds of feet. So I mean, I guess they were literally landing skyscrapers. Maybe they needed that much fuel actually, but
Okay.
I legitimately believe that they were overkilling on the thrusters just so they didn't have to scrape out all the tree lines so they can go ahead and just immediately start 3D printing their buildings.
They also didn't have to kill any indigenous because they died.
Mm-hmm.
So before we move on to Act 4 here, let's talk about the fact that that I didn't think about it when watching the first movie, but they just straight up clone, which basically gives a form of immortality to be able to just clone people. There's also some fluid that just stops aging in this universe, so this universe has immortality.
yeah, it's immortality squared.
Yeah.
So, what does that mean for us? Like, okay, so Quaritch kind of came back from the dead, but does this mean? Is this going to end up meaning anything else as the series goes on? Is this something we should actually be thinking about? Will that anti-aging thing come up?
So hang on, I just had a thought.
Yes.
What if he hadn't died?
What do you mean?
And then he meets his and then his avatar self and his regular self got to meet. Like, because hang on, they like they didn't just like bring him back to life. They straight up they made an extra.
Yeah. This is where cloning gets weird.
Yeah, and like transferred memories and everything. Imagine and I mean, and it's part of his character thing is that he's kind of experiencing this is the existential problems of, am I even me? What is me really?
He picks up the skull of his old body and crushes it. Like, that's an existential thing.
That could be a lot of things.
So
Could be. Go ahead.
now you go.
I was gonna say it could be him, kind of angry at like the weakness of his former self.
Yeah, I could see that.
Or it could be him basically like picking up the flag, like, okay, I'm gonna move past this kind of thing.
I'm really looking forward to the continuation of his character more than the other characters, honestly. They've really set it up, and it when it first happened on screen that they brought him back in this way, I'm like, that's dumb. But then I thought, you know what? I'm gonna trust James Cameron and give me a payoff for this, and I think we got the payoff. I think it was good, and it set up a great antagonist for the rest of the movies until he either dies or switches sides.
I don't think he's going to be the antagonist anymore.
I do think the next movie is when he'll have the heel turn, and Spider's definitely going to be playing a big part of that.
Face turn.
Face off.
Kinda, yeah.
Okay,
But yeah.
so let's move on to Act 4 here. The
Um, oh, well, I just wanted to say that the thing that I found like even dumber than like them bringing them back as clones and all that is really the fact that they just that like the military or whatever that he's working with, that they just let him go on this manhunt for somebody that's like not even leading the army anymore, like not even leading the rebels anymore.
Yeah, it seems like they're definitely just holding a grudge at this point.
Yeah, that very much felt like a personal grudge that the military's just like, yeah, we're going to spend all the money on this and go ahead and commandeer some civilian vehicles or
He kind of committed
it,
treason, you know.
eh.
I honestly think that the military was going to be completely fine going after Jake anyways, because Jake was the sole reason why they had to leave in the first place.
Yeah.
And I think regardless had Jake stepped down or left planet or whatnot, the fact is Jake had made himself a threat and showed that he can force them off planet if he truly wanted to. And that's such a large threat that I think any amount of money to rid him is worth it. Because once you have that sort of figure completely wiped away, what's the culture going to do? You just killed their biggest hero.
So, because of cloning, and you know, Jake was asleep for most of that 6-year journey to Pandora. They could have copied his memories at any point, and there's a slight theory that James Cameron might pull a thing where a cloned Avatar Jake appears in a future movie, and then Jake has to fight a Jake that's still loyal to Earth.
If that was going to happen, it would have happened in this movie. They would have had the dynamic between the Colonel, Jake, and the crew in this movie.
I could see it, and personally, I don't want it to happen because I think that's really dumb. But I could see it happening.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I say dumb when I actually just mean cliche. It's a little cliche.
Yeah.
I am curious to see, for how advanced like humanity is, I'm surprised we have not seen robotics.
Like AIs?
Yeah, like android figures or just like standard worker droids or something along those lines. Like if we can 3D print an entire skyscraper in 6 days, why do we not have like simple robots that can go and do various tasks?
I mean, they do. Their
built the
base is
sky,
literally building itself.
but they could just have bots to go chop down the trees.
Yeah, like you're just
Maybe
telling a computer to do a certain task, right? But you're not having an autonomous robot like walking around.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Maybe they do have robots to, chop down trees and make logs and stuff like that. And it's just that Pandora trees are made of tougher stuff.
Yeah, but
Maybe
I
the
figured...
robots don't have a bulldozer license.
You know, I'm gonna say it. The fact that there's not an AI does seem kind of weird.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay.
They like their exosuits.
True.
They do.
That's a James Cameron thing, though.
Yeah.
And I completely... I love...
dips coffee with a robot arm.
Yeah, I love how the exosuits were in this movie, where they showed like the big bulky behemoths, and even though they return, you see the simplified, more efficient version of them, and I love it.
I liked seeing the new general in the airship drinking coffee, just like Quaritch did in the first movie.
Yes.
Although,
Yes.
let's also take a moment to kind of be sad about the fact that they introduced this character, and then she was gone, and then we never saw her again. She's off at home base while we're playing with water.
We're gonna
Like, she'll be in the next movie, sure, but like, she's just like, I'm here and I am a threat. Maybe you'll have to find out next time.
I don't think she's a bad guy. Yeah.
Okay, so we need to move on a bit here. Let's talk about the final battle, the climax of the movie, and the ending of the whole shebang.
Why didn't they swim under the fire?
You mean...
or did it go too far?
You went too far. Okay, so the climatic battle, Quaritch and gang has most of Jake's kids trapped on the ship, and he's going to execute him if Jake doesn't give himself up. And Jake goes to give himself up, but then the whale that Lorak befriended just body slams the fucking boat, starts killing people. Oh, it was so good. Rylot, I'm sorry you missed that part.
Yeah, I'll see it. Hell, I could probably find a clip of it on YouTube.
Probably. Anyway, it was so good. And the entire battle on the ship was just chaotic. I honestly wasn't expecting it to go on as long as it did, but it just kept going and going, and it showed... It was just James Cameron at his finest with set pieces. It really used the set piece well, especially when the ship started turning over. It was really reminiscent of Titanic at that point, which
right,
which you know is James Cameron's big one of his biggest movies ever. And I lost my train of thought. I wanted to say something else. One of you go.
As far as like, because I know we've been kind of skipping around the different acts or whatnot, and there's kind of some information that we've left out that's sort of relevant to how we got to this particular act, right? But I love how it handled the multiple characters and each of the scenarios that they were stuck in. Like,
yes.
It showed that some of the kids were competent in fighting, but they weren't there. They weren't warriors. They were just kids.
Yeah.
While it just showing off, like, the warriors being warriors. Like, the humans got completely fucked in this battle. Like, it was one-sided.
Okay, so I remember where I was going. So after the main front of this battle is done and it's nighttime, Neteyam has died at this point, and Jake and Neytiri just want revenge. And seeing Jake and Neytiri go throughout the ship, killing everyone one by one, and seeing Neytiri just in the shadows in the background going at it, it was so cathartic and it was so good.
We got to see them back in their prime, and I honestly loved every moment of it.
And seeing Neytiri with her, I don't want to call them crazy eyes, but with her, like, you killed my fucking son eyes.
She let the beast out.
And Spider saw that, and it's really interesting having Spider see the monster in the people he's always loved and looked up to, because he's seeing both sides of the Na'vi and the humans, and he's going through this world, he's weaving through it. But yes, she let the beast out, for better or worse. And then we get to A Son for a Son, where she holds Spider hostage to get one of her kids freed. Did you think she was actually gonna kill Spider?
That's a hard one because in my mind's eye, I'm like, well, no, she's just using this as bait. But also, kind of floating there was like, she doesn't really view him like she views the others, so I'm uncertain.
Yeah.
And I kind of like that, like, not knowing what her decision was going to be.
You'll notice she cut his chest in the same way Jake had his chest cut later when he stepped earlier. I mean, when he stepped down as leader, and Jake said for the new leader to take over, the old one must die, and it looked like he was gonna stab Jake, but he cut his chest. It was like it was like the same cut.
Yeah. No, the one thing I will say about watching them and their fights was that so early in the movie when they first encountered one another, when both groups encounter one another, right? And they start their fighting. Let's be honest, the parents kind of just fucked up the squad.
Yeah, they really did, which makes you question why they ran.
Yeah, I don't understand why they ran, especially when you get all the way to the end of the movie. Like, sure, you have the Water Tribe backing them up, but you watched them go through that ship with ease. It's like, why were they so afraid to begin with? If they can just casually walk through and demolish them like this, especially with all the raids they had been doing on the supply lines earlier in the movie, I don't know why they ran.
I don't think we're ever gonna get a good answer for that, and we're just gonna have to live with it.
Plot.
So the movie can happen.
Yeah.
Yes, the pitch meeting answer.
Why did they run? Because so the movie could happen. I wanted them to go to the water. Look at the fish.
I'm gonna need you to get all the way off my back on this one.
Right.
I haven't watched this in so long.
I watch every one every week.
Fair.
Yeah, they're good. But anyway,
Okay, so at the end of the movie, the battle's over. Spider saves Quaritch from dying. So that.
yeah. No, hey, let's talk about that. First, Courage is strangled to death. Then he drowns, and then he's saved.
Okay,
Somehow.
something I have to bring up. Have you noticed that the Na'vi drowned weird?
Yes.
No.
Yeah, they drowned differently. And it takes them forever to
Yeah,
actually...
they have really good lung capacities.
it takes them forever to drown. Like, what's the Courage? The bad guy?
Quaritch.
Yeah, he should have been dead.
Yeah, no, straight up. Like, he spent a full minute just breathing water.
The same... Go ahead.
Well, I was gonna say that they did mention a throwaway line earlier, like you know, how come you guys can breathe like our air for hours, but you know we can't breathe your air for like 10 seconds. But nope, that doesn't make sense because when they got to the water tribe, they couldn't hold their breath for even a minute. So no, it doesn't make much sense.
Except, Jesus.
Yep, Jesus. Jesus is in the movie. Praise Curie.
Yeah. But no, even the brother when he was fighting that like megaloton whatever.
Loak, yeah.
Loak, yeah. Even he started to drown, but like it took him forever to like get to that point before the whale ended up saving him. The Dotoi or something.
Python.
Python, yeah.
Yes, go DJ.
Oh no, I was just waiting. I don't know its name.
Okay. Yeah. So unlike the first movie, I actually paid attention to the names and I can remember a lot of them.
You also saw it twice.
Yeah, but I've also seen the first movie like 10 times and I can't remember names of those characters.
Yeah, me either. And some of them were in this movie.
Oh, okay. So the movie at the end sets up that Jake's acknowledging he can't run. It was stupid to run, and now he's gonna have to fight. So the next movie's gonna be about retaliating, and at least I'm hoping it's retaliating because a lot of people think the next movie might just be going to a different kind of clan and learning their ways. No. We've done that twice. I want to see war.
So my theory is, and then the Fire Nation attacked.
Oh God.
But like,
True.
in a
How many more
serious,
elements are there?
right? But like, in a serious sense, I feel like they're gonna get the Forest Tribes and the Water Tribes together under one banner. They're going to attack. And I feel like they're going to fail. By the end of the movie, I think there's only going to be a select few characters left. Like, I really feel like we're gonna get, like, Empire Strikes Back for the next movie.
Don't do that to me. But that might also tie into something I know about the future of the series. So let's segue into that.
Okay.
Why did they swim under the fire?
Yeah, the whole Water Clan kind of disappeared after a point, didn't they?
Yeah, there was like an oil spill and it caught fire, and they're like, "Oh no, the surface of several feet of the surface of the water is burning in a big fiery donut around the ship. Oh no, the family can't escape anymore. They better swim back into the sinking ship for some reason."
Oh God, you make a point.
Yeah, like straight up, three characters got trapped because of that.
It was the kids.
That's true. It was the kids.
Like, it was the kids. They were panicking, and that's why I was saying, like, you could tell who were the warriors and who wasn't. Because the kids looked at that and they were like, okay, we have to go back to the ship and, like, wait for our parents. When...
Like, if only they had spent the last however long it was, learning how to swim and breathe and hold their breath forever.
Trust me, fight or flight does some interesting things to your normal ways of logically thinking.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so let's move on to Act 5 of this terribly structured podcast today. Anyway, so the future of the series is kind of interesting because, you know, we were originally supposed to get Avatar 2 in 2014, in case you didn't know.
Yeah.
And it kept getting delayed, and the delays actually changed the scripts. And the original Avatar 2 script is going to be a comic coming out now. And I don't know the canonicity of it, but if you're interested, and I'm going to read it. It's coming out sometime soon. But one of the reasons the movie ended up taking so long to come out is James Cameron and team decided to write every single sequel before they started filming the first one. And the reasons for this is because they wanted to get all the narrative beats down. And if they wanted to tie something from a future movie and tease it earlier, they can. And they wanted it to be one cohesive experience and not like this movie did good. Let's make the next one and let's make the next one. They wanted to have a set vision, which projects don't usually have. something like this. They also wanted to avoid the Stranger Things effect. Now, you may be wondering what I'm talking about, but
Not really, but
it deals with the kids and aging up as they film the movies and they get released. So the filming schedule for these movies isn't a normal filming schedule where they take the actors out for like X amount of weeks and they film a movie. These actors are on call for whenever they need to be filmed, basically for years.
especially since for most of them it's just motion capture.
Yes. Now, the kids though, and these movies so James Cameron has come out stating they have filmed all the mocap and voice lines for Avatar 2 and 3 and the first part of Avatar 4. Even though Avatar 4 may never actually be made, they went ahead and spent the money and filmed it. Because in Avatar 4, there's supposed to be a time skip to when the kids are older.
Mm-hmm.
So they'll actually film their scenes later when the kids are older.
I really appreciate, and like, God, it kind of sucks because like James Cameron is one of the only few directors that can get away with this.
Literally.
Being able to lay out a entire saga of movies and getting away directing all of it back to back to back before it's officially made, and if people even like them.
So he is James fucking Cameron. He's gone on record quoting that line, "I'm James fucking Cameron." When people question how he's able to do this, he makes money. He has proven himself time and time again. And, you know, you could say Marvel does this. Marvel hasn't done this. Marvel has ideas, and they react, and they make movies, and they have an overarching theme, but they don't have this.
No, and you can argue that they tried doing that with the newest Star Wars trilogy, but we saw how that worked when they changed directors.
Yeah. To have a series like this where it's one visionary, and brought on writers, and they have one set goal. They have the ending now. They just have to make the money. And James Cameron has come out stating, we will only get Avatar 3 if this movie makes money. And the movie's been out for not even 2 weeks, and it's made over $800 million.
How much did it cost to make?
So, according to James Cameron, to meet budget, it has to make $2 billion. But other people have come out stating, realistically, it needs to make $800 million. And it has already. The reason he's saying it needs $2 billion is because they've filmed 3 and part of 4. They've spent all this time. So altogether and marketing, he needs $2 billion. But this movie is going to make it back its budget, and it seems like it already has, and more. It's going to make even more money because, again, it's only been out for like a week and a half. So it's going to make even more money. And then, and as long as the movies continue to make money and be profitable, we will get the remaining sequels. And I honestly think we will get all the movies because Disney sees the brand. And this was the movie that really needed to solidify the IP and make sure it wasn't a fad. If you agree with that.
A lightning in a bottle type scenario, yeah. So question. Is the new old CEO back in power already?
Yes. He's
the intelligent one.
Yes. He is back. I can't remember his name, but yes.
Bob Iger?
Bob Iger, that's it. Bob Iger is back. Bob Chapek is gone. Bob Iger is back. And yeah.
The smart one is back. So we're probably going to see far more quality from Anyway,
and
continue.
it's my understanding James Cameron hasn't really had issues since Disney bought Fox. I think he's just been left in his own little bubble.
To be fair, it is, as you said, James fucking Cameron. So,
yeah, during filming of Avatar 1, a Fox executive flew out to the studio where he was filming and was questioning everything he was doing. Why is the budget like this? What's going on? This looks dumb. And James Cameron said, Look where you're standing. He's like, yeah. He's like, and Titanic built this building. I built this building. Get out.
What a fucking legend.
Granted, he's not a perfect person, but as far as movies go and getting shit done, he gets it done.
He's a visionary. And not many people can actually like claim that title nowadays.
The only director that comes to mind is Christopher Nolan.
That are still alive? Yeah.
Yeah, that are still alive. So, what are your hopes for the future, and where do you see this going? Because personally, so supposedly in Avatar 4, Neytiri and maybe even Jake are going to Earth. That's a rumor and supposedly leaked. I think the only reason they talked about it is because it's not happening anymore. But if it does happen, I'm not sure I want that.
Two things for me. It's got, like, the first one, the number one thing, they have to nail the setup for it. Like, it has to make sense. It cannot be forced. It has to be the natural conclusion to where the story is going.
I agree. I agree. Going forward, none of this needs to be forced, like moving to the Water Clan was in this one.
Yeah. Like, it's got to flow right. Because I'm curious about Earth, but I'm not craving it, if that makes sense. So, if they do want to take those characters to Earth, then they're gonna have to really put down the footwork for the next movie and make me want to see that conclusion.
We'll see. DJ.
Yeah.
Sorry to cut you off there.
No, go ahead. What were you wanting to say, DJ?
Oh, nothing.
What are your hopes for the future?
Man, I'm real simple. I just want to be entertained.
Well, at least he's honest.
Hey, like, let's be honest, right? We all watch these movies for entertainment, and everyone has a different level of, like, value they get out of all these projects. Like, yeah, to make the Star Wars reference, right? Like, a lot of people hate Last Jedi, but there's a lot of people that like Last Jedi.
You're right, and I've come around on it some. I really have. I don't think it's as bad as I used to think it was.
You're right. Episode 9 exists.
Book of Boba Fett exists.
I will actually die on a hill about Book of Boba Fett. Which is a very weird thing for me to say. And you know.
At some point, we're going to have to do a Star Wars episode. We're just going to have to.
You guys have fun with that.
Yeah.
And we will. Thank you very much.
A matter of fact, future plans, stay tuned. What you and I need to do is take time and go through all of the Star Wars media.
All of it?
I will have to buy alcohol in order to even remotely step
Are we
over
still
the
doing the
line of
podcast,
watching episode
or-
9.
What, DJ?
Are we still doing the podcast?
Yes,
or...
yes, we're still doing the podcast. It's wild. Anything can happen.
Exactly. This is the Wild West days, okay? Enjoy them all last. But yeah, we can have a whole episode between you and me on just Star Wars, because you know I will ramble for hours on just any particular movie.
I just want you to watch Rise of Skywalker one time, please.
Back to the Na'vi and how
God
the
damn it.
superior movie franchise is.
One day.
No, I really do hope that we get a really good franchise out of Avatar. Because, like, they're making an MMO, correct? Or an action game or something like that?
Okay, so it's like a...
Don't be an MMO.
Okay, so it's like Far Cry, but Pandora. It's first person, open world Pandora.
I just want to be able to fly.
I don't know if that's in the game.
Oh, you just reminded me of something. Okay, in the first movie, when Jake took control of, like, the king beast of the sky, I forget its name. Did it die in the first movie and I just blocked that memory out?
No. Turok Makto wasn't needed anymore, so he released it back into the sky.
If it wasn't needed, where the fuck was it in the second movie when it was clearly needed once again?
It was still being free because Jake was too lazy to catch it again. I don't know.
That was my thing, and I noticed in, like, the beginning of this movie, I was like, okay, well, Jake has 2 mounts, and obviously the badass fucking flyer is not going to be seen for a little bit. But, like, it never showed back up again. And I felt like that was weird. Because that's clearly in Jake's arsenal now. Why wouldn't he use it?
Well, he has to go catch it all over again.
Yeah, but he's bonded to it. So it's...
So I quickly tried to find the name, and I know it's not Appa, so... I'm having a harder time finding it than I thought I would.
I mean, yeah, that's fair. But, like, I can't be the only one that felt it was weird that, like, this thing completely just disappeared, never to be seen again.
Yeah, no, Jake was just very fixated on having a beach episode.
You know?
I'll accept that.
I accept that as an answer.
Okay.
He's like, everybody's like, we have to fight it back. It's like, nah, I'm gonna go play in the water.
Okay, so we've rambled on for like 10 minutes now. Let's go ahead and close this out. Thank you for listening. Anybody still here while we went on a massive Star Wars tangent? I really do.
Stop it.
I really do want to talk about Star Wars in an episode one day, and I'm pretty sure others will want to listen to that too, because Star Wars is always a hot button topic, no matter what it is. Avatar 2, Way of Water. It's a good movie. I recommend it, and I'm looking forward to the next ones. And I think you two like it and also recommend it, correct?
Yes.
Yeah? For the most part, yeah.
Okay, so that's it. I would ask what you guys are up to, but this is already an hour and a half long, so I think we're just gonna go.
Yeah.
Look, we're not up to anything. We just had Christmas. We were doing family things. We're not doing anything on the internet.
You know, that's true. True. We had Christmas. I hope everyone had a good Christmas. And have a happy New Year, because that will be happening before the next episode.
Yeah, dating this podcast.
Hopefully, we don't have to go through a world-altering event in 2023.
Oh,
Don't
God.
jinx
Eh. Okay, this has
All right.
been Dumpster Fire Theater. Goodbye, everyone.